Good afternoon, everyone out there in American Grit Land. It's Mikey and Jazz with American Grit Live. Thursday afternoons, as we always do, we're highlighting another great veteran organization. And with us today is Cannon Recovery House. We have Austin and Amos that came out from there. Fellas, how are you today?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for coming, man. I know you guys made the drive, and I really appreciate that, and I can't thank you enough for doing it. So tell us a little bit about Cannon Recovery House and what it is you guys really do.
Well, you said it. It's a house. It's a house on 7 acres out about an hour northwest of Houston.
Okay.
It's a house full of veterans. We also take first responders as well. But we're by design. We're not institutional. I wanted to create an environment that was a home for these guys to come back. Most of our guys have already been through those institutions. They've already been through those deep clinical dives, and now they're here to kind of learn how to live life on life's terms again, and they get to do it in a structured environment. There's accountability and there's some rules, but it's nothing more than you would expect to have rules at home. It's your home, right?
Sure.
It's just rules that want to encourage these guys to do the next right thing. And so, but they get to go out and they get to live life on life's terms. Like I said, they get to take what they learned in those kind of deep clinical dive places that they've been, those coping skills, those tools that they've been given, and now they get to do it, and they get to basically get battle tested, right? They get to go out in the community and kind of learn how to utilize these things. And if things go sideways that particular day, then they get to get back to Cannon and be amongst their brothers and be safe.
So it's strength and almost like a strength in numbers type of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's just that's their comfortable spot for them, And we're going to have bad days. Anybody's going to have a bad day.
Sure.
Bad thing is when you have a bad day with PTSD and you're in early recovery, it can be a really, really bad day.
Yeah.
And so knowing that you've got a house full of guys that have been through those same experiences that you've gone through or are going through, that can kind of lift you up and strengthen you, then that's exactly what these guys need right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, so how did it all get started? That's the thing. Like we like to ask because there's a lot of people out there who just often wonder, how can I reach out and do something, but I don't know how to get it going. You know what I mean? So how was a way that we can actually how did you guys get started? How was the grand scheme of the things that brought it together in the first place?
Yeah, that's a long story, but I'll keep it short. Spare everybody all the details. But I'm a person in long-term recovery myself. And so, all this was really spawned off my desire to want to give back, right? To give something away that was freely given to me, essentially. And, the twist on all this was that as things began to progress, and I had found an organization called Cannon Recovery LLC at the time, and we were looking at maybe going in the direction of more just true clinical for a little bit and kind of dabbled with that idea. And then we kind of went to where we're supporting civilians and things like that in more of a traditional sense. I had some friends of mine that are combat veterans, PTSD and substance abuse, and we got to talking and kicking things around. And of course, everybody's talking in the media, and you hear all the time on the news about the crisis that's going on. Right?
Sure.
And you hear things, the 22 a day, and you hear about all those horrible statistics that are real. And so life kind of went that direction, and sadly enough too, that also happened within my own family. And when that happened, it really began to shed even a brighter light on that issue. And so it transitioned from being as a civilian, transition from all the lip service and we got to do something. It went to, okay, we're going to do something, and so we partnered with a couple of guys that were there in the Houston area, and found a whole bunch of guys. I mean, when you kind of look back and you look underneath the hood of really what's it's like, wow, yeah, this is an epidemic, and so Cannon Recovery / transitional living and support for veterans was kind of born, and it just began to take a life on it of its own, and we don't always know the direction we're going, but we just kind of keep our head down and keep moving, and just things are happening. Really, really awesome things are happening out there, and best thing is guys like Amos are showing up and wanting to be a part of this team, and kind of lock arms with us and with me. And creating this space for these guys that deserve this. I mean, they really deserve a chance at a life that's out there for them, and so we're just trying to give them that opportunity.
Sure.
So, yeah.
One of the biggest things that I love to see when I was looking into who you guys were and kind of doing the research and looking at it and stuff like that, and you brought it up in what you were just saying, is that it's being led by those that are in long-term recovery too. So these aren't guys that are just, I read about this in a book, or I sat in a classroom and they told me what it's like to recover for this, and so I'm going to run this clinical for you. It's the guys that were there, and so it's that relatability, and I can only imagine that the power of being able to look at somebody that's helping you out, and that person being able to look down and be like, hey, look, I was right where you are. I know exactly what you're doing. This isn't about me fixing you. This is about me, being able to lock up with you, and we're going to walk step in step, and we're going to stride forward as a team and get back into that one team, one fight mentality and bring these guys back, because you were there. You know what it's like to be there, and you're still there because you're in that long-term recovery. And so leading by example is just something that I think is it's a fresh approach, and it's nice to see that there's an opportunity for those to see that example of like, hey, you can get there. It's never over. You're always walking that path, but you can get here. Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One of the things that we'd mentioned before the show, we were talking, is that so many guys, and we've said it before on the program before, so many guys taking that first step and asking for that help too is such a hard first step.
Yeah.
I mean, because we're stubborn by nature, veterans in particular, we are stubborn by nature. It's what we are, and we don't want, to believe that we need someone else helping us.
Yeah.
But we really do. And it's really hard to make that first step sometimes. And it's good to have programs out there like this and others that show you, hey man, Jazz just hit it. I was there before too. And I had to overcome this small step to fix this big problem. And it's really hard. It's impressive that it's the way it works out, man.
Well, I mean, our society, we have such a stigma, right, on that weakness part of it. Trying to, the stigma is that if you're asking for help, you're weak, right? Yeah. And like what we were talking about, you want to talk about tough. Get on your knees and ask for help, because you can't do it anymore by yourself. Yeah. Because it's either you ask for help or you most of these guys, what happens. And it gets to that point where guys are checking out.
And people who have said that, who say that like, they don't create that stigma, those are the exact guys who have never had to do it.
Never had to do it.
You know what I mean? Because like once you've had to actually be like, I need help.
Yeah.
It humbles you, sure.
Yeah.
But it takes more moral courage, I feel, to do that than
absolutely
anything else. You know what I mean?
In retrospect, when these guys look back, that moment of surrender, if you will,
sure,
that will be that is the turning point for them, and that they'll never have experienced something outside of theater of war, right? That's been that hard to do, right? But that's exactly it. And you mentioned something a minute ago that's spot on, and I think it's really at the basis of what we are. It's our biggest strength for these guys, is that it's peer to peer. That is the strongest connection you can make, that one man can make with another. That guy that's walked that same mile that you've walked, right? The clinical piece is essential. It's important. You got to have that. You got to have those folks that can really kind of open up Pandora's box and start to kind of help you rewire things. That's necessary, and it's very important. But on the flip side of that, you can't. That kind of environment's not going to help you, or you're not going to be able to do that the rest of your life per se. You've got to get through that piece, and then as you transition, then you have to worry about how am I going to maintenance myself mentally, right, the rest of my life. And that's where that peer-to-peer connection begins, and those relationships are formed and bonded. And but when they're hearing of somebody who's walked that, then they can buy into it because they believe it.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna take flying lessons from somebody who's never flown a plane.
Right. Well, it's that so you can.
It's going to be hard to listen to somebody that, and it's difficult, but that's where really the importance of guys like Amos come in, because
Amos, you're a Marine, so you'd probably take lessons from a guy who doesn't know how to fly a plane, because I know I would.
That's a great idea. It's that whole concept of a garage full of tools does not a mechanic make. I mean
100%.
You
talk about that on the show all the time.
You can give people the tools, right? You can explain the concept and everything like that, but having somebody that knows how to apply those tools and can speak to you toe to toe, and it's side by side, and it's that peer driven network. them going like, all right, here's this tool and here's how you use it. You're making mechanics. You're not just giving people tools. And that's the difference, because then it brings back what you just said about that ongoing maintenance.
Right.
So that long-term recovery piece,
Exactly.
it's PMCSing your head, and that's just a good thing to be able to do.
Yeah. It also piqued my interest of the authenticity of how Canon was doing things, and a niche that they were feeling, where guys are getting these tools and they are getting better, but then they're like, okay, good luck. And this is keeping them in a team, in a community, and letting them exercise a newfound life at their pace and by their own integrity. And it's genuine.
Yeah. So it's peer driven out there, or is it individual driven? Like they can go out there and if they want to sit in a room and not do nothing, go nuts, or do you guys have like stuff for them to do?
No. The first
They may
30
try, but it won't last very long.
Yeah.
I mean, there is, I mentioned there's structure. The first 30 days, we typically want guys to kind of just get immersed in the culture. A lot of these guys know each other from past places they've been. Some of these guys have served together. And so the first 30 days, we just want you to kind of get, marinate a little bit, just kind of sit still and breathe for a second. And then as we kind of move past that first 30 days, their privileges get a little more relaxed, I guess you could say, because we want these guys, some of them want to go back to school. Great, go back to school. Some of these guys want to go get a part-time job. Fantastic. The idea is to go live your life.
Sure.
And this is just home. Your home has a structure around it, but we want you to get out and get, integrated and immersed back into the community, so you can learn how to live in the community again. We don't want you just sitting there isolated. That's what these guys have been doing. Now it's time to become a part of again.
Absolutely.
And so there's a tiered structure to it. I mean, and besides just going to school and going to work and volunteering, these guys, if they're not working, we expect them to get out in the community and go volunteer. But we do have programming that's in place as well. We do facilitate ongoing psychotherapy, clinical, just once an hour, once or twice a week, things like that. We're incorporating equine therapy, fun stuff like that. We've got some other projects coming online, or other programs like woodworking. We've got a local welder that's going to give these a trade, right? These guys, we've got the space and the ability to give these guys some on the job training, so to speak. So there's a lot of things that we're kind of bolting in and molding as we go forward. But awesome. And the cool thing is too, there's no graduation at Canon. You don't graduate. You don't get to graduate from addiction or PTSD. So you learn how to live with it, right? So we don't put everybody in a one size fit all, or ever put everybody in the same box. If a guy shows up and he's going to take longer to kind of get to that transition where he gets to go back home again, then so be it. As long as he's working to get better every single day, we're going to support his efforts to do so. So if it takes him a year, okay, great. If it takes one guy 3 months, okay, great.
And when he's moved on and he's on his own, so to speak, he wants to come back over for the day, or he always has that home.
Absolutely.
That place he can come to, see his brothers, and be there for the day, and then maybe go home. It's not removing him from a community. It's not a program where like, okay, good luck.
Yeah.
It's come back see us.
So we want to emphasize that it's not rehab. This is not like rehab.
No.
This is just a place for you to feel safe.
Yeah.
And recover on your own type of thing.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring that up too, because we're talking about all the programs that you guys have, and they're all incredible, but and like, I mean, it's
I'm glad you said that, because I catch myself saying it too, and I'm talking to somebody just quickly. We'll talk about, I'll even I don't want to say facility, but it is, because it's a home first and foremost.
It's a men's club that finally said, all right, let's try getting rid of these cocaine and hookers that really weren't working out for us, and just keep the home and the brotherhood and the positive stuff of life that we want to focus more on.
Is it men only, or female veterans that are going through issues? Are they?
God bless them, but it's men.
Men, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Well, just because you probably just don't have the facilities for it.
No,
you know what I mean?
And that's something that's on our horizon, so to speak. If you look at the the population for females in this same predicament, and even in the greater Houston area, the numbers it's scary. And so, there's a place for that hopefully is coming soon.
Sure.
It's going to be down the road. But
and on that note, where it's not practical to have a living there, we still catering to females to come to talks and warrior nights that we do have. Some of the biggest.
So there's still a level of support. There's just not an in-residence program for females.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's not a co-ed living facility, but the other programs that are offered, they come from the outside. They're always welcome there. We had a few attendee meetings the other night. We had there.
Oh yeah, sure did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Funding wise, you guys have kind of a unique program for funding.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about this Operation Starfish.
Yeah,
this is I definitely I want to hear more about this because this is.
I think this is like.
I love the way it's set
a cool
up.
idea.
Yeah.
Can you talk on that?
Yeah. It's something that as a 501c3, we're always looking for as much support as we can get. You look at the corporations, you look at the local companies and things like that. But what this does is it gives an opportunity for somebody who's just lives down the street to kind of if they want to help. It provides them an opportunity or a vehicle to do that. And what it is, it's an adoption program, I guess you can call it. Called Operation Starfish. It's all based off of a story. I'm gonna tear the story up, but I'm gonna
parable, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna tear this up.
I know that when you called me and told me it was called Operation Starfish, I laughed.
I know. You know what though?
Appreciation.
I was on the website. And I see the button that just says Operation Starfish, and there's no other explanation. There's just like a picture. But you know what?
Makes you want to click it.
I absolutely clicked it and read all about it because it worked.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it works.
It's
So Amos came up with this whole thing by himself, and so no, I'm kidding. It's based off the parable, right? It's so there was a storm on a beach, and thousands of these starfish washed up on the sand, and there's this little kid, and it's a little boy, and he's throwing them back in the water. Well, this cynical old man walks up and asks him, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, I'm trying to save all these starfish." He's like, "Son, there's thousands of these things. You're never going to save them." Well, he picks up one, shows it to the man, throws him back in the water, and goes, "But I saved that one." So that's kind of what it's based off of.
Yeah.
It's like it's unrealistic to think that we're going to be able to help save everybody, right?
Sure.
But if you can change the life of one man, right, and then he can go and change the life of his family, and then it goes downhill. But getting back to the program, it's a monthly sign up, right? And we thought we got creative with it and had some fun with it, and so there's 4 levels of giving on it. So if you got $25 to spend a month, which most people got $25 to spend a month,
sure.
and you can get a good conduct medal, and we kind of associate it with the medals and things like that, make it fun. I think it's $50 a month is the bronze.
Bronze star.
$100 a month is a silver, and then if you do $125 a month, man, you get the big one.
You get
the
that
MOH,
Congressional Medal of Honor.
Yeah, get the Medal of Honor. So it's just a fun way to kind of help encourage the public to want to get involved and become a part of this thing. And,
sure.
And because it's not just a gimmicky thing to say, but we created a family environment. We came in and created this hub, and we want the community to come in. And it's been a cool thing so far to see people showing up, like Amos was just talking about. I mean, people to show up, want to come hang out.
Yeah.
And that too is invaluable.
And that's
time
awesome.
is an amazing thing to give somebody.
And people are much more interested in their time than they are their money.
Yeah.
I've noticed that. Like, that's always the thing. Like, people, like to most people, I think, especially parents, families, stuff like that, time is more valuable than money.
Well, inherently, we all know that time is that one commodity we're never getting more of.
Yeah.
You'll always earn a little bit more money. You'll always get a new thing or a new whatever. But that time piece, that's the one that you're never getting back. No. So if you're willing to give it to something, to help somebody out, or just listen to somebody, or just be there for somebody, or hell, I'll go sit on the dock and fish with you. We don't have to say a word, but I'm willing to sit here next to you and do the thing. Like, there's that connection piece, and sometimes that's all you really need is just to know there's somebody there.
That's it.
That's when it really matters too. Is you talk about just a single one. That's what he said. Just that time there. It works best in the family unit like that.
Sure.
There's a lot of places where it turns into a mass number thing. You get lost in that.
Yeah. What do you guys do about guys with families that come through the program and they're like, hey, I got a wife and 2 kids at home, or whatever. And like how does that work with them? I mean, because they obviously they got to go home,
Right.
but
Well, number one, families. I mean, my kids run around Cannon all the time. I mean, Drew's kid. So it's a family environment. It's not unusual to be sitting there talking to somebody on the porch, and there goes a 6-year-old blowing by you doing something silly. Just because the idea is to recreate a home environment, right? If you made it too institutional, as you said earlier, then it's more of the same. So we want to recreate what we're trying to get these guys to go back home to, right? So family involvement's huge. Wives, significant others, girlfriends, moms, sisters, they come in and hang out, and there's times that we have structured for that, but we're pretty relaxed on that. Mom's coming over to see her kid. Mom's coming over to see her kid. We're not getting it, but and then there also is we have somebody that's helping us with family coordination and things like that, with family recovery. So there's programs that are in place for that as well, because addiction, it's a family disease. It affects everybody.
Absolutely.
It's not just the individual that's suffering. It's widespread. So everybody has their own recovery, and so that's what we're trying to do. Facilitate everything. We're trying to turnkey and touch everything for these guys that's going to be ahead of them in life. And so, but you mentioned something a minute ago I think it's really worth mentioning, is that we stay small by design. Right now we have I think 11 guys on property. We could probably grow to a census of about 16 to 18, right, with additional structures that we're trying to bring in. But anything above that, I think we get too large, and I think we lose that personal touch, that one-on-one, because it is not a one-size-fit-all place, and we're able to support guys based on their strengths. If we get too big, then we lose sight of that. And so guys like Amos, when they're doing their mentoring and they're leading these guys, they get to really know them, right?
Yeah.
And you got 50, 60 guys running out there, then it just turns into chaos.
Well, it's like that small team mentality.
Exactly. What struck me was places that are giving these guys these tools, these initial facilities they go to, they're very pleased and proud of a success rate of 20%. And coming from military, if only 20% of us were succeeding in anything, you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's a fail.
And what is the reason that it's not higher? And when I'm looking at it, it's like everybody's fine when they have their brothers and they're in a community of getting better, and then they leave that and basically they're off alone again. And Cannon stepped in and says, you're never alone. Even when you've transitioned from that living to there, you still have that network there. Awesome. And I'd rather have a small team and everybody be successful there, and then keep going that small increment at a time, than take on mass and only have a few of them and lose the rest.
Now, I mean, you're a small team guy by trade, right?
Yeah, true.
Your background is you're a Marine.
Yes.
Are you recon?
Yes. Well,
correct?
Second Force.
Second Force Reconnaissance Marine out of Camp Lejeune. God bless you. I hate Lejeune. All right. But I mean, so you're naturally ingrained with that small team mentality.
Yeah.
Which probably benefits, I'm assuming, that perspective at a different level of most regular guys. You know what I mean? So you can bring them into that. That's probably really valuable. I can see how that could help.
Where the team, man, really surpasses the word team even, and becomes family. When it's
Sure.
that small and you're operating or doing anything that intense together, whether it's war fighting or getting guys over whatever evils plague them.
A different kind of fight,
Yeah.
a different kind of war.
Yeah, it's no basketball out there. We're not playing games. It's for keeps on both sides of it, and it makes you family.
That's awesome.
And bringing that dynamic to there gives it as a strength that ensures a better success.
Amen. Yeah,
I think that's what's so beautiful about this too, is I'm seeing so much just familiarity in it, right? So when you guys were saying it, they're like, look, it's a home, and we're replicating that home, and we're going through. It's that train like you fight mentality. I mean, these guys are going to have this fight going on, as long as it happens, right? So putting you in this incredibly, clinical, very clean, sterile environment, there's value to it.
Sure.
But then learning to fight the way you're going to when you're out there doing it on your own in this environment that it does replicate that home. There are going to be family members around. There's those outliers. There's other people around. There is that. But it's still small enough to have those touchstones to make sure that we're going in the right direction. But it's still that train like you fight mentality. So when they do go back to their home, they have those tools to be able to reach out, get back into that network, get that support. But you've built up that skill set of knowing how to react and exist in the everyday and still be using the tools as the mechanic that you guys are building to continue on that recovery and be able to keep driving forward. And the familiarity of that from a military background, that's when, you know, you look at it and kind of go like, yeah, no, why isn't it all done in kind of this fashion? Like, why aren't you training like you fight? Like,
I think we're blessed.
He just said that better than I ever have.
That's such a great term. Like, I legit wrote down making mechanics earlier because I was like, Jazz, you nailed it. And I was like, we talk about that all the time about tools for your toolbox, and that's why we started doing these.
Yeah, but you still have to train the mechanic, man. Like, that's still the deal.
You know, we did these shows so
stop working out.
Yeah.
Another fact of it is we're just blessed to be able to do it in Texas where we are, because the community here is so supportive. I mean. Austin sat back and did this very low key for over a year, right? Making sure the foundation was there, and the network was to do it right, the right way. Yeah, and
we got our first combat Marine 14 months ago.
Yeah,
so we just wanted to make sure we were doing it right before we were doing stuff like that.
You know, he didn't run out and open up to the public real quick of this is what we're doing. He made sure it was working, and then we started coming out, making ourselves more known now. Yeah, and the community is what allows it, because Texas is so awesome. I see guys that have these issues; they're coming from all around the country, because Texas is that patriotic, and it's vets that much.
Well, it's funny you mentioned patriotic.
It really is kind of awesome here.
Best country in the union.
Best country in the union, right here.
No doubt. Yeah. You know, we're in Magnolia, Texas, which is in Montgomery County, right? Yeah. And just to kind of a case study on what you were just talking about, there's a guy named John Edwards there. He founded a group called Patriots of Texas, and he's a new friend of the program, if you will. And one of the guys that was there reached out on social media, just on one of those beg, barter, buy type deals, looking, you know, we're trying to get these guys a pair of work boots, you know, and they got connected, and then the Patriots of Texas got connected, and he put out something, and this is just a pretty local group, right? It's all Montgomery County. He put out a post about Canon, and this thing, I mean, for us, I mean, it had like almost 300 comments on it and like over 400 shares or whatever it was in a matter of 3 or 4 days, and then it just started flooding in. I mean, so that's just an example of how Montgomery County and Magnolia, Texas feels about their veterans. So we really couldn't ask for a better community to be in. I mean, being in Texas is always, you know, that's a necessity, but being where we are, we're really, really grateful.
Yeah, and it's good to know that there's organizations and places out there where guys from across the country can come in and be like, hey, I need help. Yeah. And there's organizations like you guys out there. Yeah. So I gotta say thank you for that, guys, and thank you for coming on the show. Thursdays, this is what we do. You know, we get it out there. We let them we want you at home to know about these organizations, because as Chaz so eloquently coined, building a mechanic, man, it's awesome. You know, because it's we always talk about tools in the toolbox. But really the end goal is build that mechanic so that he can use those tools to actually make it better, man. It's a great way to look at it.
There is no shame in asking for that help. And to be honest with you, it takes a lot of courage to decide you want to better yourself. Yeah. So going out and learning that new skill, that's how you need to view it. This is you learning new skills and being a better you. This is not you going, I'm too weak to do this. This is going, I'm strong enough to realize that I can be better. Yeah. That's all this is. It's just it's a mind flip.
Where do people find you guys, man? Let's plug your stuff. Where do they find you?
I mean, our website, it's the easiest. I mean, it's canonrecoveryhouse.com. Okay.
Double N.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Is it .com or .org?
.com.
.com. Okay.
Long story. But or on Facebook, it's at Canon Recovery. Okay. But yeah, there's numbers on there. Reach out. Our director of national outreach, Drew, which you know well. Yep. He didn't get to make it today, but he'll be back. If you guys have us back again, that'd be great, and I'll drag him back next time. Okay. But absolutely. You can reach out. My number's on there. His number's on there. Amos doesn't know it yet, but I'm putting his cell number on there too. So there's, we're really accessible. Yeah. So just website, Facebook, social media is always there. So somebody's going to pick up the phone and we'll get you wrapped up.
And I'm sure we can get a link or something put in the description of this video and stuff when it goes out.
We'll get that down below too. So it'll be tagged in the video as well.
Fantastic.
So, yeah,
man. Thank you for having us,
guys. This is
happy
our
you guys
pleasure,
made it,
man. Thank you so much for coming. We really do appreciate you guys making the drive and coming in. And it's what we love to do, man. Is if there's something good that are out there, you guys are doing great things. Let's get you out there, man. Like so those of you at home watching this or at work on the shitter or whatever you're doing, push that share button, smash that thing, share it out, get these guys some reach. We want them to be successful, because if they're successful, our veterans are going to be successful, and the world will be successful.
Yeah.
There it is,
American
man.
Grit. I'm Mikey.
I'm Jazz.
Cannon Recovery. We will see you guys Monday morning. Take care.